God damn it. What the hell do you think you're doing? Filthy. Disgusting. That's something you don't touch. You serve it. You watch it, but you don't ever hold it. Nathaniel Blake's voice cut like broken glass. He stormed into the room, yanked the baby girl from Maya Williams' arms with a force that made her breath catch. No, please. She just fell asleep. She wouldn't stop crying. I don't care. He barked. You're the maid, not the mother, not anything. The baby screamed the moment she left Maya's chest. It was like something snapped. Her tiny hands clawed at the air, her sobs shrill and panicked. Lily, shoo, it's okay, sweetheart. I'm here, Nathaniel whispered. But the child only cried harder, writhing in his arms, red-faced and gasping. Why won't she stop? Maya stood frozen, heart pounding. I tried everything, she said quietly. She only sleeps if I hold her. That's all. He didn't answer. Just stood there with his daughter crying louder by the second. Give her back to me, Maya said, voice low, firm. His jaw tightened. I said, give her back. She's scared. You're scaring her. Nathaniel looked down at the child, then at Maya. His eyes were ice, but underneath something else. Confusion, hesitation, and then defeat. He handed Lily back. The baby curled into Maya's chest instantly, like her body remembered safety. The crying stopped in less than 30 seconds. Only a few hiccuping sobs remained as she drifted back into fragile sleep. Maya held her close, sitting back onto the rug, rocking gently, murmuring without thinking. I got you. I got you, little one. Nathaniel stood still, silent, watching. That night, no one spoke again, but the house felt colder. Maya laid Lily down gently in her crib hours later. She didn't sleep at all. By morning, Mrs. Delaney found her sitting in the corner of the nursery, eyes wide, hands still trembling. She only sleeps with her. The older woman whispered under her breath, glancing toward the now peaceful baby. Nathaniel said nothing at breakfast. His tie was crooked, his coffee untouched. The second night, Maya tucked Lily in and stepped away. The baby screamed. Mrs. Delaney rushed in. Nathaniel tried. Neither worked. Only when Mia returned, arms outstretched, whispering gently, did Lily quiet. The third night, Nathaniel waited outside the nursery door. He didn't enter. He listened. No crying, only a quiet lullaby, half-hummed. He knocked. Maya, she opened the door. I need to speak with you. She stepped outside, closing the door gently behind her. I owe you an apology, Nathaniel said. Silence. For what? Maya asked. Not soft, not angry, just steady. For how I spoke to you. For what I said. It was cruel and wrong. She nodded. Lily knows what's real. She said she doesn't care about wealth or titles. She just needs warmth. I know. She won't sleep unless she feels safe. I know, he said again. And I don't think she's the only one. Nathaniel looked down. I'm sorry, Maya. A beat of silence. I'm not going to quit, she said. Not because of you, but because she needs me. I hope you stay, he said. For her. For her, Maya repeated. But in her chest, something shook loose. Something she thought had been locked away for good. She didn't trust him. But Lily did. And for now, that was enough. The next morning, Maya Williams moved through the house like a shadow. The dining room table gleamed, polished to perfection. The smell of fresh coffee lingered in the air, but neither Nathaniel Blake nor Mrs. Delaney said a word as Mia passed by with a folded blanket in her arms. Good morning, Maya said calmly, eyes forward. Mrs. Delaney nodded stiffly. Nathaniel looked up from his tablet, his jaw tight, but said nothing. It didn't matter. Maya wasn't expecting kindness. She wasn't here for it. She was here for the baby. Upstairs in the quiet nursery, Lily was finally sleeping soundly, arms stretched above her head, a soft sigh in her chest. Maya sat beside the crib, not touching, just watching. Like always, like before, the events of the previous night still burned behind her eyes, but she kept her spine straight. That scene, his words, his tone, the way he tore the baby from her arms. Those things weren't new to her. Maybe not in volume or sharpness, but in meaning. She'd been told her whole life she wasn't meant to hold, only to serve. But Lily knew different. Lily clung to her like she'd been waiting for Maya her whole life. Maya? It was Rosa peeking into the nursery. Hey, Mia whispered. She's asleep. Rosa stepped in quietly. She sat on the edge of the chair next to Maya and whispered, I heard what happened last night. I bet the whole house did. He's not used to people. Rosa said, not since Claire. I'm not here for him. I know, Rosa said softly. But you need to be careful. Men like Nathaniel, when they feel something, they push harder. They don't know how to ask. They just react. Maya's eyes stayed on Lily. She's the only one who didn't look at me like I was dirt. Rosa touched her shoulder. You're not dirt, honey. You're the only reason this house is holding together right now, even if he doesn't see it yet. If you felt touched by Maya's quiet strength, give this video a like and tell us where you're watching from, brought to you by BUP Stories. You might be surprised who else near you is watching, too. Later that day, while folding towels in the laundry room, Maya heard Nathaniel's voice on the phone. I told you I'm not interested in dinner meetings right now. No, Jennifer. I don't care if she's in town. We're not getting back together. Another pause. Then, because I have a daughter who cries through the night unless a stranger holds her, and I can't even look that stranger in the eye because I've treated her like trash. Maya stood frozen behind the half-closed door. Nathaniel's voice dropped to a near whisper. She's not just the help. I see that now, but I don't know how to fix what I said. The door creaked. Maya turned. He saw her. There was a beat of silence. Then he hung up the call without a word. Eavesdropping? He asked, voice stiff. Laundry? Maya replied evenly. He exhaled. You weren't supposed to hear that. No one's ever supposed to hear anything in this house, she said. It's made of silence. He rubbed the back of his neck. I meant what I said last night. This morning, I was wrong. You were cruel. I know. And that baby. Your baby. She knows who's gentle. He nodded. I'd like to start over, he said. She didn't answer. Instead, Maya went upstairs, rocked Lily in her arms, and hummed the lullaby she hadn't sung in years. That evening, while Mia sewed a torn seam on a couch pillow, Mrs. Delaney approached her. You're not like the others. Mia didn't look up. What others? The ones who come here for the money or the prestige? They last 2 weeks, maybe 3, then they're gone. But you? She paused. She only sleeps in your arms. She's just a baby. She's not just a baby. She's a mirror. Mrs. Delaney said, and she sees who you are. Maya looked up finally. Who am I then? Mrs. Delaney gave a thin smile. Someone who deserves to stay. The words hit harder than Mia expected. She looked back at the pillow and stitched in silence. 2 days later, as snow fell steadily outside, Nathaniel asked Mia to come to his office. She entered cautiously. The office was clean. Clinical modern desk, wall-mounted screens, chrome bookshelves. I want to show you something, he said. On the screen, a wireframe of an app, bright colors, icons, labels, a tab that read, Single Mom Support. What is this? My next project, a digital hub for single mothers. Resources, legal aid, child care options. I started it after Claire left. But the team, most of them are men. They don't understand what's really needed. Maya crossed her arms. And you think I do? He looked at her directly. I think you understand what it's like to be left behind. And I think that makes you the most qualified person in this house. She stared at him for a long moment. Then she said, I'm not a tech expert. I don't need one, he replied. I need someone who knows what it feels like to matter too late. That night, Maya lay awake in her room. The snow kept falling. She remembered her foster homes, the basement in the Bronx, the clients who never said thank you, the men who shouted, and the women who looked the other way. And now here she was being asked not to sweep the floor, but to build something real. She turned toward the crib where Lily was sleeping in a room just down the hall. For the first time in a long time, Maya let herself feel the possibility of a future. Not one where she escaped, but one where she stayed. For her and for the little girl who only slept when Mia was near. 3 days later, Mia stood in front of the massive oak door of Nathaniel's study, heart pounding. Come in, his voice called from inside before she could knock. She opened the door slowly. Nathaniel was at his desk, sleeves rolled, his tie undone. The usual sharpness in his posture had softened. Next to his laptop were several printouts, sketches, and sticky notes, most of them in a color she didn't recognize. Then she realized they were hers. He gestured to the seat across from him. I've been reviewing your notes. You think like someone who's been on the other side of the system. I have, she said, taking the seat. I want to implement the anonymous forum feature you suggested for moms afraid to speak openly. Maya nodded. Good. Some women, especially the younger ones, they'll never raise their hand in public, but they might type if they're alone in the dark and scared. He was quiet for a moment. You know, he said, I built my entire company around solving real problems. Renewable energy, sustainable homes, carbon tracking. And still miss the human ones, Maya said gently. Nathaniel smiled. A small, tired thing. Yeah, turns out you can't code your way out of loneliness. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The winter light slanted through the tall window, casting soft lines across the dark desk. Maya studied the papers in front of her, then looked up again. I'll help, she said. But I want to be involved, not as a consultant or assistant, as a voice. You already are. No, she said firmer. You said you wanted to start over. This is how it begins. You don't just ask for insight when it's convenient. You build from trust. He met her eyes. Deal. Later that evening, Maya stepped into the nursery and found Lily standing in her crib barefoot, cheeks flushed, babbling toward the door as if she'd known Mia was coming. The moment Maya walked in, the little girl reached out both arms. Hi there, Mia whispered, scooping her up. Did you miss me, troublemaker? Lily buried her face in Maya's neck with a tiny sigh. Mia settled with her into the rocking chair by the window. Snow had returned, blanketing the pine trees outside. She rocked slowly, humming the same tune from that first night. Lily was heavier now, sleepier, more at peace. Mrs. Delaney appeared in the doorway minutes later, a steaming mug in hand. You looked like you needed this, she said, offering the tea. Maya smiled. You read minds now? No, just faces. Yours is easier than you think. They sat in silence while Lily dozed off again. You're different, Mrs. Delaney said finally. Since you started helping with the app. I'm not just folding laundry anymore. Number your scene, and that's something many of us wait our whole lives for. Maya nodded slowly. I'm still getting used to it. You'll never get used to it, Mrs. Delaney said. But you'll start believing it. That night as Maya returned to her room, she found something unexpected on her bed, a book small and cloth-bound. No note, no tag, just a single blue ribbon tied around it. She opened it. You deserve to be more than someone who survives. Her fingers paused on the handwritten inscription. It wasn't Rose's handwriting, and it sure as hell wasn't Mrs. Delaney's bride. She closed the book and sat down on the edge of the bed, heart loud in her chest. Over the ether. Maya stood at the edge of the empty nursery, fingers trailing across the edge of Lily's crib. The room was quiet now. No crying, no nightmares, just stillness and the soft scent of lavender that clung to the air like a memory. A month had passed since Nathaniel's press conference. In that time, their lives had shifted again, not with scandal, but with whispers of admiration. The press had grown bored. The board had backed down. But Mia's own heart remained cautious like a bird that had once escaped a fire and now watched every spark. Nathaniel walked in, jacket off, sleeves rolled, tie undone. He looked less like the CEO of Grayson Global and more like the man who had stood in the hospital hallway weeks ago, begging Maya not to walk away. "She's asleep?" he asked. Maya nodded. "She was humming when I left. That song you used to play for her." "I found the vinyl last week," he said. "Your copy from your apartment. You went through my things." He grinned, only to find the music. "I missed the sound of your world." Maya gave a soft smile. "My world was a lot smaller back then." He took a few steps closer. And now she met his gaze. "It terrifies me how much bigger it's become." Nathaniel slipped his arms around her waist. "That's how you know it matters." For a moment, they just stood there, their bodies warm in the hush of the night, listening to each other breathe. Then Mia broke the silence. "I've been thinking," she said, "about the foundation." Nathaniel tilted his head. "The Grayson Trust." "No," she said, "something new, something mine. A place for women like me who came from nothing, who were told they'd never belong, who raised kids that weren't theirs, cleaned houses they'd never afford, slept on floors just to keep a baby warm." He stepped back, brows raised. "You want to start a non-profit?" "I want to build a legacy. Not with your name, with mine." Nathaniel's eyes didn't flinch. "Then let's do it." "Not let's," she corrected me. "I need to do this myself." A beat passed. Then he nodded. "Then I'll support you however you need." She stepped forward, stood on her toes, kissed him softly. "That's all I ever wanted to hear." Within weeks, Maya had leased a small office space in East Harlem, close to the shelter she once called home. The sign above the door read, "The Warm Floor Foundation." Inside, the space was simple. 2 desks, a few second-hand chairs, and one worn-out couch that looked suspiciously like the one from her old studio apartment. She sat with her first client, a single mother named Alondre. 3 kids under 5, one of them with asthma. "I'm not here to fix you," Mia said gently. "I'm here to remind you you're not broken." Alondre cried. Mia held her hand and didn't let go. Word spread quickly. By month's end, Mia had helped 8 women find jobs, childcare, and safe places to sleep. She bought air mattresses with her own money. Nathaniel offered a grant. She declined. "Not yet." "You really want to do all this alone?" Carla asked one day, sipping coffee on the foundation stoop. "No," Maya said, "but I want to prove that I can." Carla grinned. "You're stubborn, and you're surprisingly supportive." "I'm an acquired taste," Carla said. "So are you." They laughed. At home, things changed, too. Nathaniel had started making dinner once a week. He wasn't great at it, but Lily found his lumpy mashed potatoes hilarious. Maya taught Lily how to braid her own hair. Nathaniel started reading bedtime stories with voices, even if his British accent was terrible. And one Friday night after Maya came home late from the foundation, she walked into the living room to find a soft jazz tune playing. Candles lit and Nathaniel standing in the kitchen doorway with a plate of takeout and a sheepish grin. "I was going to cook," he said. But the kitchen rebelled. She dropped her bag, walked over, and kissed him. "It's perfect." They sat together on the floor eating noodles out of boxes. Lilia asleep upstairs. The world outside irrelevant. Maya leaned back against the couch. "You know, I used to believe love was something for other people. Women in movies. People who went to college, girls with clean records and soft hands." Nathaniel took her hand, kissed her fingers. "You don't need soft hands. You just need a strong heart." She smiled. Then I've had that all along.
The next week, Maya stood in front of a group of donors, her first real fundraising event. She wore a simple navy dress, her hair pinned up, a silver chain around her neck that once belonged to her grandmother. The crowd looked rich, polished, powerful, but when she spoke, her voice didn't tremble. "People see a woman like me," she said, "and they assume I must have been rescued.
But I wasn't. I was seen. And that changed everything. Not because I needed saving, but because someone believed I was worth standing beside." There was silence, then applause, some polite, some thunderous. But Maya didn't care about the noise. She saw Alandre in the back holding her baby, tears in her eyes. That was all she needed. Afterward, Nathaniel found her in the hallway, still holding the speech note cards. "You were incredible." "I meant every word," she said. "I know," he whispered. "And you don't owe me anything. But I hope you'll let me keep standing beside you." She reached up, touched his cheek, then stopped standing. "Walk with me." He laughed. "Deal." That night, Maya tucked Lily into bed, kissed her forehead, and watched as her tiny chest rose and fell. Down the hall, Nathaniel waited with tea. The lights were low, the air soft with music. Maya turned to him. "We've come a long way." "We have, and I'm still scared sometimes." He stepped closer. "Good. Fear means you care." She rested her head on his chest. "Then I must care more than I ever thought possible." He wrapped his arms around her. "Me too." And in the stillness of that moment between past and future, between pain and healing, they held each other. No longer defined by where they started, but by what they'd built together. It was a rainy Saturday morning when the letter arrived. Maya found it folded neatly in a pale blue envelope placed just inside the gate of the foundation. No stamp, no return address, just her name in perfect cursive across the front. She stared at it for a while, unsure why her heart started to race. When she opened it, her breath caught. "Maya, I don't know if you remember me. My name is Marissa. I was the night nurse at the Grayson estate before you. I left under hard circumstances. I heard about what you've built. What you're building. I'm in trouble and I don't know where else to turn. Please help." The paper trembled in her fingers. She remembered Marissa. Older, quiet, careful with her words. She'd only met her once briefly when she was first hired. Nathaniel never spoke of her. The staff didn't either. It was as if she'd vanished. Mia's pulse quickened as she looked out the window. The city was gray and glistening like it was holding its breath. By noon, she was in a cab heading toward the address scribbled on the bottom of the letter. A rundown building on the edge of Brooklyn, windows covered in plastic, rust creeping up the sides. A heavy door buzzed open and a voice from behind a cracked door whispered, "Come in quickly." Inside the apartment was dim, the air stale and filled with a bitter scent medication and mildew. Marissa sat hunched on a torn couch, her skin pale, her eyes ringed with fatigue. "I'm sorry," Marissa said, her voice trembling. "I didn't know who else would listen." "You're the only one who didn't walk away from the fire." Maya sat beside her. "Tell me what happened." Marissa's hands trembled as she pulled a folder from under a cushion. "I made a mistake years ago. I knew about something. Something at Grayson Global. I didn't want to be involved, but I couldn't unsee it. Then suddenly, I was gone. Disappeared from the staff list. No references, no pension. I've been living in the cracks ever since." Maya opened the folder. Inside were old documents, internal emails, scans of checks with forged signatures. A part of her didn't want to know, but another part, a louder part, knew she couldn't walk away. "They buried you," Maya said softly. "Because you were disposable." "No," Marissa whispered, looking at her with wide eyes. "Because I saw what they did, and because I was going to talk that night." Maya didn't sleep. She sat at the foundation office, lights off, rain tapping against the windows like fingers on glass. The documents lay spread across her desk like broken bones.
Some of the names on the papers were familiar board members, executives, even a few who had tried to block Nathaniel's recent reforms.
She called him.
"Nate," she said, voice low.
"We have a problem."
By Monday morning, Nathaniel was in the foundation office, sleeves rolled, face tight with anger and concern.
He moved quietly, reading through the documents one by one.
When he looked up, his eyes were hard.
"This is real," he said.
"And it goes back a decade. Marissa was blacklisted.
Mia said they did to her what they almost did to me." Nathaniel nodded. "We're going public." "No." Maya interrupted. "Not yet.
If we go too early, they'll bury it again."
He studied hair. "Then what do you suggest?" She looked at the folder. "We make it personal.
We show what this kind of power does not just to companies, but to people, to women, to workers. We bring the story back to the ground where it can't be ignored."
Nathaniel's jaw tightened. "Then we're going to need allies." And they found them. Over the next 2 weeks, Maya met with journalists who still remembered her name.
Women who had worked under the same men. Former board assistants who knew too much and were paid too little.
One by one, they came forward. Quiet at first, then louder. And then the video dropped. It wasn't flashy.
No music, no fast cuts.
Just Maya sitting in the foundation office holding the folder, her voice even in raw.
"This isn't about revenge," she said to the camera.
"It's about accountability.
About the women who held this house of cards together, the ones who were told to be quiet, to be grateful, to be invisible.
I was one of them, but I'm not invisible anymore. And neither is Marissa." The video went viral within hours. By the next day, reporters were outside Grayson Global demanding statements. 3 executives resigned.
By the end of the week, Nathaniel called an emergency board meeting and announced a full internal investigation.
Maya didn't attend.
She was with Marissa sitting on a hospital bench while the older woman underwent surgery for a long-ignored tumor.
It wasn't serious. Not yet.
But it had been growing quietly, just like the truth. "She's going to be okay," the doctor said.
Maya closed her eyes in relief. Outside, the city continued. Sirens in the distance, rain on windows, lives rebuilding. That weekend, Nathaniel found Maya back at the Grayson estate. Lily was asleep upstairs. The house smelled of roasted garlic and rosemary. He poured her a glass of wine, sat beside her on the sofa. "You did it," he said. "You didn't just tell the truth. You built something out of it." She looked at him. "So did you. You listened." They sat in silence. The soft hum of life all around them. Then Maya spoke. "You know what I've learned?" She said, "What?" "Love isn't always about falling. Sometimes it's about standing.
Standing when it's hard, when it's dangerous, when no one else will." He took her hand.
"Then let's keep standing."
She smiled together. And there, in the quiet heart of a storm, they had both survived. 2 people who once came from opposite sides of a door finally understood they were never just saving each other.
They were becoming whole.
The story reminds us that true compassion often goes unseen until it touches the right heart.
Maya's quiet act of love, sleeping on the floor to comfort a child who wasn't hers, showed that dignity isn't tied to status, but to character.
Sometimes it's not grand gestures, but the quiet sacrifices that awaken others to what truly matters. Brought to you by BUP Stories.